Welcome to part 2 of the mechanical video tutorials. In the previous part 1, we looked at modeling mechanical equipment, and in part 2 we'll look at modeling mechanical duct risers. Part 3 we'll look at main branch duct. So right now we're looking at the vertical, the next one we'll look at the horizontal duct. The first thing you need to keep in mind excuse me, about modeling duct in Revit is that you can really only model parallel to the view that you're in. So in other words, if you're in a plan view, you can only model horizontal duct. You can't model vertical. If you are in an elevation or section view, you can model vertical duct, and you can sort of model horizontal, but just not very well. You would think you could get around this using a 3D view, like the one that we have here, but unfortunately in this sense the 3D view behaves like a plan view, so we can only model horizontal duct here. So what I like to do to get around that is I'll take a floor plan. So I've got level 4, and I'm going to get a nice vertical view. In this case I'll do my south elevation because it has a nice, lets me see both of my cores. And we're just going to clean these up a little bit. I'm going to take my floor plan here, turn off those room fills because I don't really need those, and I'll change my discipline to mechanical. Now you'll notice that all my elevations disappeared when I did that. That's because once I change the discipline to mechanical, I'll only be able to see other views that have the same discipline. And my elevation right now has the discipline architectural. So if I want to see this in that other view, I have to change that to mechanical. And there you go. You just notice that this just appeared down here. Now in this guy, I'm just going to use my view template. And if you have the course template, you'll have this same view template set up. I'm going to do mechanical riser. There you go. So I have a nice kind of, I can see the shape of the building, and I can see my 2 air handling units on the roof. Going to click on the triangle, which is the elevation that I'm in, and I'm just going to move the front plane of that back to here, so I have a nice clear view of my 2 cores. You know what, I might even take the back plane of that, put it back here so I don't see anything else in the background. There we go. So let's get started. I'm going to use the mechanical duct tool. So if I come up to systems, click on duct, I have a couple of different settings running across the top here. I also have them over here as well in my properties menu. Reference level in this case doesn't really matter because the reference level, since we're going to model an elevation, that's not an issue for us. The same with offset. I'm not too worried about that. I am interested in the system type. I'm going to make this supply. And I'm also interested in the dimension of my duct. Now remember that risers are some of the largest duct, or are the largest duct that's going to be in your model. So I'm going to make these very big. I'm going to go 60, actually I'm going to go 80 by 40. I'm just going to draw a straight line for my roof down to level 1, and another one from here for my roof down to, let's say, the basement. Now you'll notice that these just came in as green lines. The green is because in this particular view, each mechanical system is color-coded. So if I were to change this to turn air, it would be blue. If I were to change it to exhaust, it would become a brownish red. Put that back to supply. You'll also notice that it's a line. Just like modeling structure, mechanical when in the detail level course mode. So we kind of pick that down here. Sorry, let me turn off my template to unlock this. So if I go to model, you can now see the width of my duct plus the center line coming down the middle. The point of this is that if I go to course, just like in structure, if I change it to course mode, it lets me do a framing plan. If I go to course mode in Revit, it lets me go to a riser diagram. I'll just keep this at medium. Now, I've modeled these in my elevation, and as you can see, they've appeared basically aligned to the front of my elevation. And this is why I have a plan view open, because I'm going to take these, I'm just going to pull this guy, whoops, grab the wrong thing, pull this up here, fit inside my shaft, and I'll pull this one up here to fit inside the other shaft. Now if I need to resize these, because for instance this one hits a column, I can just change it here, or I can also change it in the Properties menu. This column, by the way, is in the wrong place. I'm just going to move that. I'm not sure how that got nudged over to where it is. It's supposed to be up here. There we go. Now, because ducts are line-hosted families, I can use all of my line editing tools on them. So one concept to think about is that the duct only needs to be as wide as the amount of air that it needs to deliver. So for instance, this duct coming directly out of the air handling unit, at this point it's servicing 4 floors. Once I get past my 4th floor, I'm only serving 3 floors. Once I get past my 3rd floor, I'm only serving 2 floors. So that airflow demand of the duct actually keeps going down as I move down through the building. And in building riser diagrams, you'll typically see this. You'll see that that duct kind of continues to decrease in shape as it goes down. So if you can do that in your building, it's nice. It means you can take up a little less space. So what I can do is go to Modify, and I have my different kind of line tools here, Trim and Split, which is SL. I'm just going to take this and I'm going to split it, decrease it in size as I go down the building. So let's look at this. I'm going to do an incredibly simplified version of doing a calc. I'm just simply going to decrease the width by 25% as I go down. So if this only needs to do 25%, I'm going to make that 20. I'll make that 40. And I will make that 60. Now what it's done is it's automatically created this duct fitting, what they call a transition between the different the different widths of the duct. And there you go. I have a nice kind of clean riser going down. Let's say over here the calculation is a little bit different. It's going to be a split, 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 and then one last split when it gets down to the basement. And maybe here it's going to be 20. Oops. There's not enough room for that transition. I'll do this the other way around. Going to go from 80 to 60. From 80 to 40. Well, I should say from 80 to 60, from 60 to 40. From 40 now to 20, and well, you'll see something interesting happen right here. If I make this 20 as well, you'll see that it actually just joined it back up and made it into one long duct again. If I make that 2020, whoops, I have to split that. Maybe make that now into a 2020. You'll see the transition, but it's really transitioning in the other direction, so you can't see it from here. If I open up my 3D view, start to see what we're looking at here. Now I'll add one other riser, just kind of keep things moving. Let's come back into Systems, Duct, and now I'm going to add my exhaust air riser. That guy down to here. Get this big heavy riser. My exhaust, by the way, is really only servicing my restrooms. It doesn't need to be quite so big. So I'm going to make this maybe just 30 by 30. Once again, these are arbitrary dimensions that I'm using. And this is not, what I'm doing is not mechanical engineering. It is simply showing you how to model duct in Revit. So there you go. And if I come back here and change this to course, I have the symbols that show me what is going on inside the building. So I have the stick. This shows me there's a transition there. Lets people know that these are kind of transitioning down as you go. And it's the beginning of my riser diagram. So probably what I would do on this is I would end up turning off everything except duct and mechanical equipment, and then you begin to see something that looks much more like a riser diagram like this. You probably wouldn't even have these column lines. And that's it. In our next tutorial, I'll talk about doing modeling horizontal duct. Thank you.